Whatever happened to decent debate in this country? We saw what happened with the votes against for and against the abortion bill in state parliament last week. Nothing ever can be acceptable where politicians have death threats made against them. It's happened to Liberal MP for Mulgoa Tanya Davies, who spoke in the parliament. She made some very sensible comments. She's very passionate about this issue, and she's now had to go to police over these death threats made to her. She's on the line. Tanya, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Steve.
You went and saw the police today?
Yeah, I did. I gave them a statement today in relation to the incident and how it impacted me. Yep.
How serious were these death threats? I know we don't want to give them too much attention, but you felt threatened enough to report it?
So, look, the particular individual's his expletive-laden message and very, very violent accusation or personal threat was sufficient enough for me to alert the police immediately and send them a copy of that recording.
It's forced the Police Minister, David Elliott, to contact Mick Fuller, who's got plenty on his hands with what happened yesterday, and make sure that the Counter-Terrorism Minister, Anthony Roberts, is across it as well, to make sure you and he are safe. I mean, that's appalling. I mean, they've presumably had to put extra security on your offices as well.
Well, look, what this shows is that the manner in which this abortion debate has been handled by the leadership of this government has been so flawed. It actually has caused people to react and to respond in extreme ways, whereas if we had a proper process that allowed people the time to express their views in a fashion that respected their views, and that we had a respectful discussion and we listened to everyone's views, we wouldn't have got to a situation where people felt they had to react and respond in such a manner. So it is very unfortunate. It hasn't deterred me in any way from pursuing a proper process on these matters, as well as significant amendments to this bill when it goes to the upper house next week.
You seem to have upset people with your raising of the issue of gender selection when it comes to abortions. You made in Parliament, under parliamentary privilege, you said that there could be up to 300 missing girls in Victoria. I think that needs to be raised. If gender selection is happening, then it should not happen. It's now forced the Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, to talk about reinserting that into the Criminal Act. I mean, it's just horrendous to think that would have ever happened anywhere.
Well, look, there is evidence. I want to commend SBS for doing their research, looking at the ABS statistics. I mean, the facts are the UN has identified a standard ratio across the world for boys born versus girls, 102 to 106 boys for every 100 girls. Okay, so slightly more boys than girls. And when you drill down in particular communities, some communities, the number of boys born to girls exceeds that standard ratio. And that has been happening in India, for example, so much so that the government has changed legislation to ban even pre-screening of babies to address this issue. And even the Prime Minister Modi has started a online social media campaign, Selfie with Daughter, to begin to tackle the cultural challenges that exist in that nation. So this is a real thing. This is factual. This is evidence-based. And that's why we as a parliamentarian group, we need to look at the facts, look at the evidence, and we need to draft bills to put a line in the stand for our communities. Our girls and our boys deserve better than what they're currently getting.
Is it sufficient to put it back in as part of the criminal code?
Look, the actual framework, that's where we need to get the legal expertise to give us advice. I'm not a lawyer by trade, and we need, but this is again demonstration of how rushed this process has been, how certain stakeholders were cut out of the discussion in the formation of the original bill, reveals the flaws and the errors and the challenges that still remain in this bill.
We talked about the members of the public who've trolled you and made disgraceful death threats. I mean, the Upper House Greens MP, Kate Fearman's Facebook account, she says that her account, someone else had tagged it, but the language used on that, where she lists the MPs that voted against the bill and then used swear words beginning with D, C and F and A, that's just unparliamentary, and that person, that Greens MP, if she was responsible, should be ashamed of herself.
Well, what it shows is those minority voices that demand the rest of the majority of the community to tolerate their extreme views are the most intolerant members of our community. They live by double standards and they need to be exposed for what they are.
Do you believe the bill, and the inquiry is now underway, the bill will be voted on in the upper house later this year? What's your understanding of what might happen with that bill? Will it get through with amendments or not?
Well, I hope the bill will be amended, but in terms of the inquiry, which is now underway, let me just say that the inquiry is a bit of a sham because it will be tabled next Tuesday in the Parliament and immediately debate will commence. I know as of yesterday afternoon, there's something like 13,000 submissions to that inquiry. So how can a report be tabled in Parliament assessing more than 13,000 submissions and then debate immediately begin? There's no time for the upper house members to even consider the submissions that have been raised.
Just before I go,
the process is just crazy.
Just before you go, and I commend you for the courage of your convictions and speaking out and using your freedom of speech to let the public know about an issue that's close to your heart. Why do you feel so strongly about this? Because
there's a lot of people involved and personally involved in this topic. We're talking not only the women that are faced with the prospect or considering their abortion, they're sometimes faced with family situations which are abhorrent. The child, if we're talking about late-term abortion, there are cases where the child actually could live. There's nothing wrong with the child. The abortion is proceeded upon because of some sort of social situational change. We're talking about doctors, nurses that participate in this. There is a range of people involved in a debate. This issue is very sensitive. It is highly complex, and it should have been done in a far more collaboratively open process where we gave everyone their time to express their views and their concerns, and we worked through the issues raised. Personally, I mean, I've had miscarriages, and I've been through the process of having to say goodbye to these children. I wasn't able to carry to full term, and that pain lives with you forever. Those children died within my body. That was painful enough, and we need, as a community, to support these women far more than what they are currently being supported with, sometimes the most difficult circumstances they find themselves in.
Thanks for being so honest and being on the program today. Good on you.
Thanks, Steve.
Tanya Davies, Liberal MP for Mulgoa.